This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
Some massive battles in the AFC coming up this weekend across the NFL. We have got, of course, the Chiefs and the Bills, but also Broncos taking on the Texans. Texans coming off the big win last week, trying to stay alive in the AFC wildcard race, and Colts and Steelers. Colts facing a Steelers team coming off a pair of losses, but still pretty frisky as well. So a lot to digest for week number 9. We're going to dive into those games with Riley Thomas, pick his brain on what he sees in those games, favorite values, and also some thoughts on the MVP market as well. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, joined here as mentioned by Riley Thomas. You can find him on X at _Riley8. Check out his work at FanDuel Research, where he is a writer for us. Riley, we're on to week number 9. Happy Halloween season to you. How you doing?
Doing great. That's what I was just talking about. Basketball coming back now too, so I'm loving it. We got everything going on. World Series, football, basketball coming back. I can't complain.
I mean, we got college basketball coming up Monday, which is your wheelhouse too. So I feel like the couch in your apartment is about to be abused over the next month or so.
Yeah, as if it hasn't gotten enough in the season. It's about to be even more now. So,
well, I love to hear it. Excited to break things down with you for today. Again, we're going to talk through those 3 big AFC matchups, getting Riley's read on them, talking about where you're seeing value at FanDuel Sportsbook. Again, also going to talk through the MVP market because we got some guys who are separating, but also are facing each other for this weekend. So we'll see if there's any value there, and then dive into Riley's favorite bets for this week. But first, a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page and the Covering the Spread podcast feed. That's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave us a 5-star rating there, but also check us out on the YouTube page, FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Thumbs up there, and make sure you turn on notifications to get these shows as they go live Monday through Friday. A breakdown with Austin Swaim, College Football Week 10 already up, and then Andy Nader will join me tomorrow to break down NFL player props for Week 9. FanDuel's getting you ready for kickoff with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 to use in bonus bets all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel has you covered. NFL season is finally here. Only question is, are you ready to play? Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-79-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's begin things, Riley, by breaking down that MVP market, because we've been waiting all year for someone to separate as being the favorite here. And we've seen that happen with Mahomes sitting at plus 150, Josh Allen plus 450. The problem is one of those guys will very likely lose this week. So big inflection point for the MVP market. Any value for you in that market before we get to this big week 9 slate?
Yeah, it's boring, but right now Mahomes is in a great spot for this. And then, me personally, I'm just not a big fan of backing somebody for. I mean, we have so much season left, and that plus 150, I'm just not a fan of that. So I'm looking at some of the longer odds here. I mean, it's crazy to say Drake May is now plus 550 here, right. But I think Jordan Love's another one to pay attention to. And I think a lot of this is just based on where these two teams can go. And then on top of it, I mean, they're just simply playing like some of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, you got Jordan Love second in the league in expected points added per drop back. May is third in that category. There's so many things with him right now. It's just insane considering who he's throwing to as well. Like I was just scrolling on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, last night. And I mean, he's on pace right now to have the best deep ball throwing season of all time by a lot too, which is just, crazy to try to comprehend. But Yeah, I mean, New England's 6-2, and they have a really weak schedule. I mean, they have the Jets twice. They have the Bengals, the Giants, the Dolphins. I'm sure the Ravens will get a lot better, but right now the Ravens haven't been great, and they have the Ravens too. So it's like the rest of their schedule isn't, that bad. And then obviously like the Bills, they got a tough game this weekend. I mean, there's a chance that the Patriots win that division, and that would certainly help his case a lot. And then obviously for Jordan Love, I mean, the Packers definitely have a chance of getting the 1 seed in the NFC. That would be a big boost for him. The Packers have some big primetime type games where he could, make a big performance or whatever and help his case. Like week 10, Monday Night Football, they have the Eagles. Thanksgiving, they have the Lions. They have like a 4:00 game at Denver in week 15. So there's like some big stage games there. Just with the way these two guys are playing, I think it's interesting just considering like they both legitimately have a path where their teams could, have these high seeds and, chances in these big games. Like obviously the Patriots have to play the Bills again. So again, if he beats the Bills again, that's going to help May's case.
Yeah, you'd mentioned the deep ball for Drake May. Rashid Shaheed is on the trade market. I would give a lot of money to put Rashid Shaheed in New England. Like if you give him like Kayshon Bouttie's fine, but there's not a lot of juice in that receiver room. And Rashid Shaheed has juice. So you put him there, that'd be awesome. And I'd love to see that for Drake May. As for Jordan Love, you mentioned he's second in EPA per dropback. That's with Jaden Reed missing most of this year and Christian Watson not playing until this past week. It's kind of insane what he's been doing too. Now, again, May's receiver core, even with those injuries, the Packers is worse than what Love has done, but also Love has faced a pretty tough schedule. So I think both those, Love is the first guy my eyes gravitated towards when I was looking at this too, just because that team is very good. They're playing in a tough division. They're going to get some good games you alluded to. I think that things set up well for Love, but I think both those guys have been hyper impressive this year and are very much worthy of consideration with where they're sitting.
Yeah, and I think that's another piece of it too with say Love. It's not like he's throwing to these superstar guys or anything. Not to discount Mahomes or anything, but he has Rashee Rice going forward. Like that's a lot better than anything Love's thrown to. Plus, Andy Reid, of course. Everybody's going to always talk about that. So, yeah.
It definitely does help. And there's voter fatigue. Everything kind of adds up there for sure. So willing to take some longer shots here. Do you like Love 10-1? Riley also on Drake May at plus 550. Let's talk now about some games for this week. And let's begin things with a game that is, I think, super, super interesting. That is the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Colts favored by 3. Total in this game is up at 50.5. And the Colts have passed every test they have faced so far this year, and they're facing a Steelers team that is coming off 2 straight losses. So, Riley, do the Colts do enough here to cover this game on the road?
Yeah, I'm kind of on a lean with the Colts here. And I think a big piece of this is just the Steelers' defense is pretty simple, right? They have a good pass rush. If you give your quarterback time at all, you're probably going to put up some yards. I mean, they gave up, I think it's 34 points per game over the last 2 weeks. We saw the Bengals shred them through the air. Jordan Love just put up like 360 passing on them. I believe they're now giving up the most passing yards per game in the NFL. So if you give your quarterback time, you're probably going to put up some points. And that kind of takes me to like my overall favorite game line for this is Colts to go over 26.5. Obviously Colts right now are just, the offense is just hard to I have no idea how they're putting up the numbers they are. It's crazy, but leading the league in points per game, leading the league in yards per play. Daniel Jones leading the league in EPA per drop back. I mean, it's just across the board best in the league right now, right? I mean, Jonathan Taylor, just absurd too. Best running back in the league right now, probably just the way he's playing. Really wish MVP wasn't a quarterback award because if it wasn't, I think Taylor definitely should have a say. I still think he does. But, I mean, overall, just a feel on this for me. The Colts have a good offensive line, right? They're 4th right now in pass block win rate. So Daniel Jones probably has a real shot to, get time. And if that's the case, I just really don't see a reason why you're not just stacking passing yards again, like we've seen the last couple of weeks out of the Steelers defense. And just, overall, I just think if they're going over this, right, like that's a big team total. If they're pushing for 30 points, it's probably a pretty decent shot. They can cover a 3-point spread too, in my opinion. another big piece of this too is Pittsburgh. They force a decent amount of turnovers, but again, the Colts take care of the ball. So I just think they have answers for some of the things that Pittsburgh does well on defense. And if you kind of get into a shootout situation, obviously I have way more trust in what the Colts are doing compared to kind of the up and down nature of what the Steelers offense has been.
Yeah, you were talking about the offensive line for the Colts keeping Daniel Jones upright and kind of keeping him under pressure. And that's kind of where he thrives the best. And the Steelers have not been good at generating pass rush this year. And now they've got a lot of injuries along their defensive line. It's going to benefit Jonathan Taylor as well. But like, if you're looking at an explosive offense where they can score 27 points, you're gonna need some passing too. And they can do that here, given the injuries along the defensive line for Pittsburgh, given that offensive line, they've proven to me they can go on the road and still be effective. So I think that 26.5 over is -122. It does make sense because again, they keep on doing it no matter the spot. So at what point are we just going to buy in and believe that they are what they've shown us to be?
Yeah. And especially against a defense that just has not looked good the last couple of weeks, right? Like it doesn't take much convincing for me here.
I'd agree with that. So Riley is on the Colts team total over 26.5. That is -122. Very different story for our second game, where that one is a couple of defenses that are underwhelming. This one is not. It is the Denver Broncos going to the road take on the Houston Texans. As with all those defenses, total here 39.5. The Texans were slight favorites. There's been some movement towards them. They were even money on Monday, I believe. They're now to -130 in the money line, and the Broncos money line is at +110. Obviously, both teams got impressive wins this past week, but the Texans have struggled when they've faced teams with great pass rushes. So, Riley, who you got here? Broncos versus Texans.
Yeah, so a big piece of this when I was looking at it is obviously the injuries for Nico Collins and Christian Kirk, both out last week. Looked like they returned to practice today, so that helps them a lot. But I like the way this market's moving because I'm all in on the Broncos money line here. And to me, it comes back to the pass rushes, like you mentioned. These are two of the best pass rushes in the league, right? Denver right now, they have 36 sacks, and they're on pace to surpass that 72 sack mark from the 1984 Chicago Bears. Broncos also just became the first team in NFL history through 8 weeks to record at least 35 sacks while allowing less than 10 sacks through the first 8 weeks of the season. So that right there, that stat alone is what I'm looking at. And pretty much a toss-up here is Denver is just dominant on both sides on the line of scrimmage, and we know how bad Houston's offensive line has been, right? Like Houston's offensive line is just not good. And then you go look at Denver, and they're leading the league in pass block win rate. So while Houston, obviously, they have a scary pass rush, I mean, chances are it's going to kind of even out, right? Like I'm sure they're going to win some, but I mean, I'm sure their offensive line does a lot better than what Houston's going to do against a pass rush that's, on pace to make history right now. So to me, I mean, I think that's going to be the difference in this because a lot of this stuff lines up even, right? Like both of these defenses are top 6 and our schedule adjusted rankings. Obviously, we see 39.5 total. Probably not going to be a whole lot of points, but Bo Nix should just simply have a cleaner pocket. And I think that makes a difference in this.
Yeah, the money line is at +110 for Denver right now, as Riley mentioned. I did take the Texans money line on Monday when it was even money, but I was hesitant even then to take them because of this pass rush. Because last week they faced the Niners. Niners already have had a pretty bad pass rush this year, and then lost Bryce Huff entering that game. So it was even worse than it usually is. The week before, they faced Seattle, who ranks second in schedule adjusted pressure rate. And we saw what happened there, where CJ Stroud was under pressure within like half a second, every single drop back. The only team better than Seattle in schedule adjusted pressure rate is the Broncos. They were an outlier. They're 41.7% adjusted for schedule. Seattle is second, 39.7%. So 2 full percentage points above the rest of the field. So when the Texans were even money, I thought it made sense. Now they're -130. Oh boy, alarm flags going up for me. Like that's pretty tough to justify. So you're getting +110. It's a team that's really struggled against these good pass rushes. There is no pass rush better than the Broncos. If Nick Bonito wants to make some hay and try to make a ground on Myles Garrett in that defensive player of the year market, it could be a good week for that for him.
Yeah, and it's tough too because, I mean, I can imagine like a Houston fan's perspective going into this, and you're like, oh, great, like, the best cornerback in football, he just, had an injury last week. Nico Collins could feast, but I just don't think it's going to matter, right? Like you said, I mean, if he's dropping back and Stroud has somebody in his face in half a second every time, it's not going to matter.
Someone with a lot of CJ Stroud and Dynasty, it makes me very, very uncomfortable thinking about this game. So Riley's on the Broncos money line. That is plus 110 at FanDuel Sportsbook. All right, let's talk now about the big banger for week number 9. That is the Chiefs going on the road, take on the Buffalo Bills. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Chiefs favored by 1.5, and the total in this game is up to 52.5. Even though my model agrees, because I got the Chiefs by 1 here, I was still a bit surprised to see the Chiefs be favored in this game with it being up in Buffalo. So, Riley, do you think that is right to have the Chiefs favored here, or is there value in the Bills as slight underdogs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a good idea to back them at home. I mean, I saw firsthand a couple years ago how loud that place gets, and man, I've never been in a football stadium that gets that loud. It was crazy, but yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea because to me this is a total toss up, right? Like I honestly I don't know like what team I'd go with. I'm just expecting points, honestly, and a lot of that has to do with both of these defenses. They're in the bottom half of adjusted rush defense ranks, and then we have both of the offenses in the top 12 of yards per carry. And while I know, like, you know, that can maybe lead you to believe that we're going to have like a slow pace or the clock melting, like we know they're going to mix in, you know, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes dropping back. Like I think we're not going to get into like a super run heavy script for both teams, but if you have, you know, 4 yards of carry in your back pocket at all times, like you're probably going to stay ahead of schedule and put up some points, and I think that applies to both offenses. Just some injuries I want to keep an eye on too, where again, this could favor if you want to go for that Buffalo upset. On the offensive line for the Chiefs, it looks like their rookie left tackle, Josh Simmons, he's going to be out again probably. We got a report early in the week from Nate Taylor at ESPN that it's probably going to be a few more weeks before he returns. We also know that guard Trey Smith was out last week too. And those things kind of have to happen, like in terms of like offensive linemen not playing if Buffalo is going to win this in my mind, because they're dealing with injuries on their defensive line, right? Like you had Ed Oliver tear his bicep last week. You have Daquan Jones missing his last 2 games with a calf injury. So, you know, if the Chiefs roll out almost healthy offensive line, like say Trey Smith goes and stuff, I can understand why they're favored. I think it's that part that, you know, you got 2 starting defensive tackles out, and Buffalo has the weaker defense of the 2 in my mind as well. Like I was just looking at like their coverage grades and stuff for their cornerbacks, and it's not great, right? So if Mahomes is getting time against their secondary, it's not going to be good. So they kind of need some help with the injury report. That's the biggest factor to me if Buffalo's going to pull it off.
Yeah, it is an interesting game from that perspective. Keeping tabs on injury reports. Again, no Simmons. Trey Smith, I haven't gotten a good read on whether he'll go this week. He's on IR, which is good. It already did miss 1 game, but it was a back injury. Could have been a situation where they said, hey, we probably don't need him against the Commanders. They were favored by 10.5 at close in that game, but I'm not totally getting a good read there. Also, no Isaiah Pacheco. And for me, you know, running backs aren't going to move the needle a ton. But their running back room also wasn't that good to begin with. And you take away the guy who was probably like the best, like all around piece, that's going to matter at a certain point. So I do think that the injuries to the Chiefs are impactful enough where you could justify backing Buffalo. Now you mentioned you like potential for points in this game. Total is 52.5. I've got it at 54. Any read for you on the total here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting it over, and I just think like obviously it matters, you know, Pacheco not going, but both of these run defense hasn't been great. So to me, like I envision both of these offenses staying ahead of schedule. Obviously, we know the quarterback situation. Both of these offensive lines, even with injuries, they're both top 4 in the league in pass block win rate. So if you give these quarterbacks time, again, probably doesn't matter who they're facing, they're going to find success. Both teams are also in the top 12 of plays per game. So again, kind of like a quick and pace type of thing. So I do expect the over, and I know it's like everybody's probably thinking that, right? Like it's Mahomes versus Allen. Like, of course, we're all going to like points. But just looking at like, you know, team level stats, I do think the route's there for an over.
Yeah, that again, total is 52.5. Over is at -105. It is very difficult for my model to have a total this high when the spread is that tight, because it says that both teams will score a lot of points, which is tough to project. But it shows you how much respect it's showing for these 2 offenses. So hopefully we get some fireworks on a Sunday afternoon between the Bills and the Chiefs. All right, Riley, can open the board for you right now for week number 9. Where else is seeing value in this slate?
So for the Bears against the Bengals, This is tough just because there's just a ton of injuries for Chicago right now. Assuming they can roll out an even close to healthy offense, I do like the over in this game. Both of these defenses are in the bottom 8 for points per game allowed, bottom 4 of yards per passing attempt allowed. Obviously, we've seen Cincinnati's offense has been dramatically better since they've gotten Flacco these last couple games. Chase Brown's finally doing some things in the run game. And we all know how bad Cincinnati's defense has been. So, like, that's your, explanation for Chicago scoring. But, yeah, the Bears injury report just isn't great right now. You got Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift. They all didn't practice today. Even, like, their third and fourth guys at receiver, Luther Burden and Zacchaeus, they both were practicing either. So, obviously, if you roll out an offense with like 3-4 receivers missing in your top back, I don't know about that over anymore. But yeah, I mean, even if they're only missing, like, I don't know, say DJ Moore can't suit up, right? But they got everybody else, or if Swift is out, like, I still think they have enough to score. But yeah, I mean, it looks like the total's moving down a little bit and makes sense with the injuries. Yesterday afternoon, it was 51.5, and now it's 50.5. But unfortunately, this has kind of turned into a wait and see situation because you're just not going to take an over with that many injuries right now.
Yeah, I do think Burden will likely sit this week due to concussions. Zacchaeus sounds like he'll be okay to go. He was labeled day-to-day back on Monday, so I'm feeling better about him. Moore has missed a lot of practice since that game where he went to the hospital. I think that he'll be good to go because he missed practice on Wednesday each of the past 2 weeks. Still played then. And Odunze, I didn't see get hurt against the Ravens, so him sitting out practice Wednesday was a bit of a surprise to me. Yeah. Swift also doesn't practice a whole lot. So they've had like those 3 guys, Moore, Odunze, and Swift. I'd still expect to go, which is a good thing for them. Frankly, if Swift didn't play, I wouldn't care personally. Like, like Monungai's fine. The drop off to Monungai is not huge for me. Mm-hmm. So maybe a bit of a pass blocking decrease, but that's the one thing there. And like the Bengals don't generate pass rush anyway. So who cares? I think the other reason why the total did shift down is the Joe Flacco uncertainty. We'll see with his right shoulder where they're at. But hey, I mean, Jake Browning's moved the ball with this offense in the past, didn't do it this year, but has done it in the past. So like you said, worth keeping tabs on as things stand here. Total 50.5. Over is -118 for the Bears and the Bengals. Injuries will play a key role, but I do think the Bears guys, on offense at least, should be good to go here.
Yeah, most of this really is just Cincinnati's defense. It looks like everything they're in is just, I mean, both totals have been well over 60 points the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, these two teams let up 30 points to Tyler Huntley and 39 to Justin Fields last week. That ain't great. Right. That is not great by any means. And the Bears defense is banged up too, which does help your over as well. Alrighty, that is all that we have here for today on Covering the Spread. As mentioned, back again tomorrow. We're going to talk about NFL Week 9 player props with Andy Nader here today, Thursday, on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Also going to break down NFL DFS with Brandon Gadula. That'll be live at noon Eastern on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. You can find out to the fact there as well on the FanDuel Research podcast feed for that. All these shows on the Covering the Spread podcast feed. 5-star rating there and a thumbs up on YouTube. We appreciate those of you watching as always. Riley, appreciate the time as always. Happy Halloween to you. Enjoy the fun slate of every single sport you could possibly desire going on the next week, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for having me on. I hope that Kansas basketball game you have coming up will be a fun one. That's another arena I'm hoping to check out one day. It looks awesome there.
Well, if you need tickets, let me know. We got some connections now. So I'll be there on Monday for the opening night game. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. My first time at Allen Fieldhouse. Check out Riley on X at _Riley8. I am on X and Blue Sky at JimSannes, on Threads at Jim.Sannes, and you can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always, and thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your bets for NFL Week 9. Back again tomorrow, talking about some player props. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.